Hello and welcome back to the Opera Euro Rapid tournament. Now we are in the quarterfinals and I'm going to show you just a very fighting game. This game happened between Jan-Krzysztof Duda, who was the one who actually beat Magnus Carlsen after like 3 years or so in the Norway just a few months ago, and against Wesley, the Philippine American Grandmaster, who actually did beat Magnus Carlsen in the previous or two editions ago in Magnus Carlsen Tour in the final. So a bit of what happened. So the players play for 2 days and they play 4 games each day, and you have to, so it's sort of best of 2. If they are tied after 2 days, then they go for Armageddon. So and this is going to be the final decisive game 4. The score so far is actually equal. However, it was very interesting because Wesley lost first, actually lost the game. He blundered very badly in a game he really wanted to win, and then he needed to fight back in game 3, which he did, and now we are all tied for the last game. So let's see what happens here. Knight f3, d5, e3, knight f6, c4, actually very standard moves, but soon we will see that white has quite some incentive to deviate and go for something original. Now comes b3, castle, bishop b2, c5, takes, queen c2, knight c6, all very much played. And here comes the move h4, already kind of showing that, well, white really wants to win. It's not enough to draw for Jan-Krzysztof Duda today. Here comes f5, but this is still non-theory, and here comes sort of the novelty. After a minute or so thinking, Jan-Krzysztof plays the move g4. So the point is that you really want to open up the king side. If black were to take this pawn, then you can play knight g5, and now you really are going after the black king. If you take here as well, then all of a sudden also the h file is open, and well, black is now in huge danger, so you cannot take on g5 any further, but still you are running a lot of risk. So for that reason, taking on g4 is not such a good idea. But Wesley, after a bit of thinking, did find a very good way to react. He took on c3. And the point is, if you take with the bishop, which is the more natural way, because then you still have this bishop open, then you can put your queen now on d5, which is just a super strong piece on this long diagonal. Well, if white plays bishop e2, then you immediately lose after f takes g4, so you can't even do that. You have to put your bishop on g2, and now comes e5 and e4, locking down all these bishops, and well, black is doing very well. So for that reason, actually, here Jan-Krzysztof decided to take with the pawn, d takes c3. But now this immediately allows black to strike in the center. Comes e5. This is a very old rule in chess, that if your opponent is playing on one side of the board, which is in this case the king side, you have to strike back in the center, and this is what happens. Now e4 is an idea. But e5 also opens up a diagonal. Comes a very natural bishop c4 check, developing move, king h8, and now comes the knight jumping in. The same idea, if you ever take on g5, then this h file starts to get open, and then now there's also the g6 side threatening, and you're running a lot of risk as black to get just checkmated. So again, this is not what Wesley did, but he reacted actually very nicely. And after this move, he had he decided to take control over the game. So here I invite you to stop the video and find a way. So knight f7 is a threat, so find a way to deal with this. So the very nice move that came is e4, just sacrificing the exchange. If white were to take, so knight f7 takes, then comes a very important knight e5 tempi, hitting this guy and threatening to jump in. And now actually white is doing just horribly. You probably remove your bishop. Now comes knight h3 check, takes, and there will be ridiculous domination on the light squares, f takes g4. Black has a pawn, and on all these light squares, black is just going to win the game. So this is completely unplayable. But Jan-Krzysztof did play the move rook d1, very natural move, attacking this guy. But now you actually kind of decided your king is going to be stuck in the center forever. No more long castle, and short castle is obviously a suicide. You're never going to do that with all these g4 and h4 pawns. So now comes queen e8, knight e6, jumping in, And well, black had the idea to just sacrifice the exchange with knight e5, but so Wesley was, in general, is a more solid player, and he saw that after bishop e6 he's already doing quite well, so there's no need to sacrifice. Takes, takes, and now finally comes the knight in. And the point is that you are jumping into d3, so white will eventually need to sacrifice on d3 and black will win an exchange. So there are multiple ways to do this. You can take on f5 with the pawn, you can take with the bishop. The computer prefers the bishop, but there is not a big difference. So what happened is g takes f5, actually cementing this bishop on e6, and now comes knight d3, winning the exchange. Take, take, rook d8, developing. Here actually white has a better move to go to e2, because you really want to take care of this h5 square so that the black king cannot come in. Jan-Krzysztof made this mistake of playing queen e4, and now black really takes over, because there now comes queen h5, as I mentioned. There's a very nasty threat of just mate in one. Actually both major pieces would be mate in one immediately. So white needs to play move f3 to close this diagonal, but now comes bishop f6, very important move. You are locking down this bishop. White cannot play c4 because this guy is hanging, and now this dark square bishop of white is just going to be sort of a prisoner of this c3 pawn. And so Jan-Krzysztof was also running low on time. It's just very hard to do anything with white because there's no obvious weakness in the black camp. What black would like to do is just double up on the d file and slowly rook d1, rook d2, and well, black is up on exchange. You have the 2 pawns for it and the bishop pair, but your bishops are too passive, especially the dark square bishop. So it's very hard to even suggest anything for Jan-Krzysztof here. He played the move king e2, which is probably not bad, but now comes just rook d6, threatening to double. White plays queen g4. Very important, if your opponent's king is weaker than yours, then you don't exchange queens. So queen e8, to plan to play queen d8 and then come in. Now comes h5, actually quite a nice idea to create some sort of counterplay with h6. Now comes queen d8, the bishop comes back to control the d2 square, and the black bishop takes. And now comes h6, and so this was probably the move that Jan-Krzysztof hoped that will create the necessary counterplay, because now you're really threatening to take, open finally up this h file. If black takes, then you can just take back with your rook. So that's again counterplay, but black has a very nice way to defend. Just play g6. And it seems like losing a pawn, but it really doesn't, because if you take and queen g6, then now your queen is very much away from your king, and black can immediately just checkmate white with rook d2 check, bishop d2, queen d2, king f1, and now we will see white is important. The queen is gone. There's no defender of this pawn, and this is just checkmate. So it's now possible to this one. So after g6, you pushed all your pawn, you pushed this pawn from h4 to h6 in the past moves, wasting a lot of tempies, but you still are not able to open up the position. And here Jan-Krzysztof basically makes the final mistake, final blunder. He plays the move queen c4, and here I invite you to stop the video and find the final blow for Wesley, which will also deliver him the day victory. Actually, after being just trailing after 2 games, and he just won 2 in a row to win this set, but you still have to find a way to win. So actually, the way black can finish up the game is very similar to a previous time I've already shown you. So black actually wants to come to d2. It seems like it's protected, but it's actually not enough. Black can invade, and the whole point is that after takes, here there's a very simple move of queen takes e3, and the white king is just going to be checkmated. They're opposite colored bishops. This king is super weak. There's bishop d4, queen f2 checkmate. The white pieces are just super passive, not very coordinated, and yeah, there's nothing white can do here. Plays the move queen e4, which is only move, but now comes a check, king g2, other check. Well, if you move your king, then there comes even g takes f5, further disbalancing white and winning even more material. So Jan-Krzysztof played the move queen g4, but again, obviously no queen trade, another check, king h3, and here comes a very nasty move that finishes the game, which is just simply take this pawn, and there's no way that white can react to this one. White played the move queen h5, but here just the bishop arrives on e5, and there's going to be queen f4 finishing the game. Actually, Jan-Krzysztof, I believe, almost flagged, so just played the move f4, which just forced black to take with the queen, which is just checkmate immediately. And yeah, and in this position he resigned or flagged, I'm not sure. But black is obviously completely winning, up by a lot of material, and the checkmate is very soon. So this was a fantastic game by Wesley. So he won with this game. He won the set. And as for the other games, so Magnus Carlsen was actually very dominant today. Already in 3 games he was leading by 2.5, which is enough to win the day. So he really dominated Daniel Dubov. I think Anish Giri against Taimur Rajab was also a very interesting fight, where in the last round Anish had to win with the black pieces to equalize, and he actually did. Amazing victory for him. And this was actually the first loss for Rajabov in the whole tournament. And also MVL beat Aronian actually quite in easy fashion. So yeah, this is about the first day, and so tomorrow Jan-Krzysztof really needs to fight back and win the day so that he can force the Armageddon. Yeah, and so that's it about this game, and tomorrow I will continue with the second day of the quarterfinals.